Hello.
I think my teenage son may have sodomized our dog. I'm not sure what to do. Help me, Reddit. Okay, for obvious reasons this is a throwaway account. So, I'm not even sure how to start here. The last couple of weeks my dog, 7-year-old Lab, has been acting noticeably different. I guess I could describe it as distant and even depressed. He is normally an extremely outgoing and happy dog, very playful and energetic, etc. But starting about 2 weeks ago he started acting very withdrawn and nervous around people, even his own family. At first I kind of brushed it off as feeling under the weather, but after about a week and a half I decided maybe he needed to see a vet. I got him in yesterday and after an examination the vet told me that he believes the dog has been sodomized. His anus had slight damage in a way that was consistent with that sort of thing. He said he can't really imagine that his injuries could have come about any other way. So already now I'm pretty upset and sort of freaking out. Who would do this sort of thing to a dog? I thought about all of the people that had access to the dog and my backyard. Gardeners crossed my mind, my neighbors, etc. The only people that live in the house are my wife, myself, and our teenaged son. I came home and thought about it for a while. I had this really ugly sinking feeling in my stomach about the possibility that it could have been my son. I decided to look around his room. I didn't really know what I was expecting to find, and I didn't really find anything in there that screamed guilty, until I decided to check his browser history. I found he had been on a bestiality forum recently and a site with pictures of that sort of thing. I felt like I was going to throw up. Now I know that this isn't definitive proof of anything, but it sure doesn't look good. The more I think about it, the more I am convinced my son has been sodomizing our dog. I haven't told my wife yet or done anything about it. I have not left him alone with the dog since. I am totally confused and upset and don't really know how to proceed with this. Reddit, please help. TL, Dr. Vet says my dog has been sodomized, found some suggestive bestiality material on son's computer, suspecting my son sodomized family dog.
I am the father and Redditor whose son sodomized our dog with a hairbrush 2 months ago. He's done it again and don't know what to do, please help. Alright, well Reddit helped me a lot last time, maybe you guys can do it again. Here's the original post about my discovery that my son had abused our family dog. Long story short, 2 months ago I took my dog Colby to the vet after he was acting weird. The vet determined the dog may have been sodomized. After a lot of thought, I checked the browser history on my son's computer and found he had been viewing pictures of bestiality and seemed to be active in a forum about it. I confronted him and he admitted to sodomizing our dog with the handle of a hairbrush and his fingers. After asking Reddit for help, I decided to put him in therapy and not let my wife know about the issue and tell her he just wanted to talk to somebody professionally. Well, this morning I caught my son in the backyard holding onto Colby's genitals while playing tug of war with him. Granted, this isn't sodomization and the dog seemed to be okay, but my son was basically grabbing and massaging the dog's privates as he held him in place under the guise of a tug of war game. Obviously I stormed outside and grabbed him in anger and we had a very serious and angry talk. He had promised me to never treat the dog in any remotely inappropriate way after our last incident. I put him in his room for the rest of the day. My wife is still at work, and I do not know what to do. I am at my wit's end. Apparently, therapy has not been working. Reddit? How do I deal with this? I think I have to tell my wife now, which is not exciting since she has been in the dark about the sodomizing incident for 2 months. I am not sure how to deal with all of this. You guys really helped me last time, any advice is appreciated. Thank you. TL, Dr. My son molested our dog Colby again, not sure what to do. Update okay, well that didn't go so well. My wife got home not too long after I put this up. I told her pretty much right off the bat that I messed up pretty bad and that I found out 2 months ago that our son had admitted to me he sodomized the dog with a hairbrush handle and his fingers. I told her that this was why I had wanted him in therapy and that he wasn't comfortable with her knowing, and I made him a fatherly promise under the condition he never do anything like that again. Needless to say, she was pretty shocked and upset. Then I told her what I saw today and she got even more upset. It went from a few minutes of anger to tears. She is pretty pissed off at me and pretty upset about our son and Colby, obviously. I feel like shit at this point for having kept her in the dark. She told me she felt very betrayed, and after calling me some choice names and saying she was confused, she grabbed her purse and just left the house. I have no idea where she went, but I didn't try to stop her. She was very, very upset. I feel like the worst husband/father in the world right now. I went in to speak to my son and he was pretty unhappy too, since he could hear everything, obviously was in no hurry to come out of his room for that. He isn't very happy that I told his mom about today and the incident before, but after speaking with him briefly I think he understands that it was necessary. So basically my family was torn apart today over a dog. I need a beer or something. As for rehousing the dog, I suspect we'll probably have to do that, but there's a lot we need to sort through first. I'm sure there is an uncomfortable family meeting in our future. Thanks for the advice and for being there, Reddit. Update 2. Wow, front page. Thanks for the outpouring of support. I hope nobody I know is a Redditor. Didn't quite expect this to get so big, ha. Well, anyways, my wife is still gone. I tried to call her on her cell just one time and she didn't pick up, so I got the message. I've just been in the yard with Colby on the computer having a beer. This is crazy. I wish fatherhood/marriage came with a guidebook. I guess Reddit is kind of close, right? Well, except for the odd people saying, rehome the son, and all of those super helpful suggestions. I'll keep you updated as the night goes on. Hopefully my wife actually does return at some point. As for my son, all he's done is make a hot pocket and go back to his room. Basically just being a teenager in trouble. Edit, since a lot of you are curious, my son is 15 years old. I posted this in a comment in the original thread. I thought I had included it in the main post, but I realize I did not. Hope that helps. Update 3. Okay, well, my wife called me to say she is staying at her sister's house tonight to clear her head. She has calmed down a bit but said she doesn't think she can handle all of this tonight. I said I understood and apologized again profusely for not telling her sooner. I tried to explain what another Redditor mentioned about how the first incident was a weird male adolescent sexual thing and he was embarrassed and thought he could confide in me and trust me. She was pretty unmoved by that argument and thinks I should have told her. I guess I was wrong. When we got off the phone I said I love you and she just hung up. This is probably up there as my worst day in recent memory, at least since the day I found out my son sodomized my dog the first time. As for my son, I have seen no sign of him since he made his hot pocket. However, for about 40 minutes now I've been hearing what I am guessing is dubstep coming from his room. I don't know. I'm too old to even want to know. Colby will sleep in my room tonight. And tomorrow hopefully the wife will be calm enough to discuss what to do with him. She loves that dog a lot. I am not sure how she is going to want to move forward with all of this. For my part, I can already think of 2 families we know that would probably be happy to take the Colbster. Update, I am the father and Redditor whose teenage son sodomized our family dog Colby. It's been 2 months since the latest incident and my family is falling apart. More inside. A lot of Redditors were very supportive and helpful with this delicate situation, and I received many letters offering to take in our dog Colby after the second incident. It was really touching to have so many people reach out. I have also gotten a lot of messages asking for an update on what has happened since the last post. Well, a hell of a lot has happened to my family since then, and none of it has been very good. Basically, after hiding the first incident from my wife, I felt obligated to tell her about it when I caught my son sexually abusing Colby again. Turns out not telling her the first time around was probably the worst decision I have ever made. My wife did not take the news well at all. As I mentioned in my last post, she left the house to stay with her sister for a few days, and wouldn't pick up my calls. The breach of trust and the fact that I hid something so serious from her really pissed her off. To be honest, our marriage has already been pretty rocky the last year or two, for reasons I'd prefer not to get into. So this was just one more bump in the road that our relationship really didn't need. To be fair, I was only trying to be a good father to my son, and I thought I could keep the initial incident between him and I to protect him from further humiliation. It would have been okay if he had kept his word that he would not abuse the dog ever again. Unfortunately he did not, and I had to involve his mom. Admittedly, I should have just done that from the beginning. So after staying at her sister's house for a few days, my wife came home and we got into several arguments over the next week or so about our son and what to do about this, and of course there was plenty of me being painted as the bad guy for not including her on a major parenting issue. I decided to take Reddit's advice that we should start looking for a new home for Colby, since he obviously wasn't going to be safe with us anymore. My wife did not like this idea, and after several more arguments I come to find out that she suspects our son never even abused the dog to begin with. She tells me that she has spoken to our son about it and he denied ever doing anything. So basically I had my son denying he ever sodomized the dog, and my wife now pissed off because she is hearing two conflicting stories from us. She even brought up in the heat of our argument that she thinks if anything I sodomized the dog, which as you can imagine made me absolutely furious. So to make a long story short, we did not resolve anything, and have only become more embittered with each other. This, along with a few other marital issues, finally led to my wife asking for a trial separation about 3 weeks ago. My son has decided to live with her, and so I have moved out to a friend's house temporarily while I try to figure out what we are going to do next. I know you guys are probably going to be pissed about this, but Colby is still living with my wife and son. I tried to take him with me, but this only led to more friction and infuriating jabs from my wife. Why, so you can sodomize him again and blame it on your son, you sick fuck, etc., etc. This whole thing has just become a complete nightmare. I have tried to confront my son about denying what he did to his mom and he won't even talk to me and has just started taking the stance that I'm crazy. I guess he thought he saw a way out of all of this and decided to just throw his dad under the bus. That is probably the most hurtful part of this entire ordeal, to be honest. I'm used to having my wife be a complete bitch to me at this point, but the betrayal by my son, who I was only trying to help, is like a knife in my heart. That being said, I have to remind myself he is just a kid in an awkward situation, and try not to hold it against him. After all, if my wife and I wind up with a divorce down the road, he is going to be the only thing I love, so I am trying not to do irreparable damage to our relationship. I feel like I've done enough damage to this family. And all of this over a goddamn Labrador. I wish I could say my priority at this time was still on Colby's safety, but I would be lying. My relationship with my family is in tatters and I don't know what to do to fix it. Obviously I would still like to see Colby rehomed as well, but I feel like I need to focus on fixing my relationship with my wife and son so my life can go back to normal. TLDR, my wife has decided to separate from me, and she took the dog and my son. Feel like I'm losing control of my life, and it's all because I tried to help my son after he sexually abused our dog.
Goodbye.